Hello and welcome to a look at Stardust for the Amiga, a game that was made and released by Bloodhouse Limited. I kept the introduction in the start of the video so people could get an idea of the plot, but for those who skip past it I will very lightly run over it. A bad professor wants to take control of the galaxy, and in order to do so he has disguised his agents as asteroids and sent them all over the galaxy to, do naughty things. You build a ship and go out and decide to bring order and peace to the galaxy, so you go out and try to shoot the agents down, which of course are asteroids. You have 5 main levels, which each are divided into sub-levels, and on the map screen you can get an indication of what sort of difficulty is expected by having a rating out of 100, and you also get information about whether anything special shows up. Potential weapon transport means that a ship will at one point fly across the screen, and if you shoot it, it will drop a weapon upgrade that you can pick up and then add to your inventory, and it will be signified by a special sound. If you have other named ship types on the screen or on the map for that level, it will indicate that some strong enemy will at some point or another pop up on the screen and try to become a nuisance. I don't know how it looks for the other worlds because I never got to that point, but on the first world, the bottom left map is the boss fight for the first world, so keeping that till last when you have gotten a few power-ups is probably a good idea. You fly around in your craft and you shoot asteroids, and as you shoot the asteroids they will break into small pieces, and of course in order to clear a level you have to get rid of all the asteroids and any potential extra ships spawning. From time to time the asteroids when destroyed will drop various power-ups, and they can be points, they could be shield restore, health restore, extra lives, smart bombs and mega bombs, and all sorts of good stuff. And you can also get upgrades for your gun that you have currently equipped. Once you have gained an extra weapon through a weapon transport, you can go into the weapon selection menu by hitting the spacebar and select that weapon. But you can also choose to direct any power-ups picked up to that weapon, so you use one weapon and power up another weapon, and that is usually a good idea because a lot of the weapons I've experienced at least at the lowest rank are not particularly powerful, and you're better off staying with the 3-way shot until it's powered up to about 3 or 4, and then you can go into the menu and switch to the new weapon and use it at its increased power. If you lose a life, and you are more than likely to, you will lose 1 weapon power of your currently equipped weapon. It doesn't actually drop weapon power of unequipped weapons, so assuming you pick up a few powers before switching weapon, then you are never going to be in a position where you will be completely crippled. If you have picked up engine power up upgrades, you will also lose 1 stage of those when losing a life, and you can possibly imagine losing a life in general is a bad business. Your craft has access to a shield that you can activate to avoid taking hull damage, and you activate that by pulling down in the joystick, which is possibly a bit awkward, but I should probably keep that to the control part. Let's get the technical aspect out of the way. Graphics wise, this is ray traced graphics, and you may or may not like the style and design of the graphics, and to be honest, in most cases I think ray traced graphics is an overrated gimmick even back then, but I am not unhappy with the general look of the graphics, especially the player craft looks quite detailed and everything is moving incredibly smooth, and there's no hiccups, no slowdowns, no nothing. Not always a big fan of the color choices, because certain of the asteroids, because of course they have different colors, can blend in with the background, which can be a bit frustrating. But from a graphical point of view, there's very little to complain about with this game. The sound design, the music is somewhat upbeat and a bit, I don't know what style it belongs to, but some observers have indicated that it's outdated, but I don't think any music of any kind is ever outdated. If you enjoy the kind of music you enjoy, then it is very much not outdated for you. And as such, I think the musical quality in this game is very, very high. Sound effects are very, very satisfying, and the amount of speech in the games, not super impressive compared to more modern games of course, but for a game that runs on a box standard Amiga 500 OCS, yeah, I don't think there's anything to complain about, and the quality of the speech is a bit robotic of course, because I mean it's your craft telling you what you're picking up essentially, and you could perhaps prefer a more clear, more distinct voice, but the overall quality of the sound effects is very high, and again I have absolutely no complaints. The controls. You move up to accelerate, and right to turn right, and left to turn left, and down to activate your shield, and of course you use the fire button to fire whatever weapon you have currently equipped. As I was mentioning earlier, you can go into the weapon selection menu by hitting the spacebar and select any weapons you may have picked up. You hold down the fire and push right to redirect power-ups or weapon power-ups to that weapon, and then you hold down fire and move the joystick left to actually activate said weapon. The controls can be a bit floaty, and it is, dare I say, intentional, because without extra engine power your craft is a bit slow to accelerate and a bit slow to stop, but as you get more engine power it responds much more smoothly and much quicker. But of course, as is often the case of games like this, a bit extra engine power is a good thing, and too much engine power and you're flying all over the place, making it more a hindrance than a benefit. The gameplay. I think it's very, very easy to see that this is effectively a glorified and super polished version of Asteroids. Certain commenters has been saying that because of the PD versions or public domain versions of Asteroid games available on the Amiga, it seemed a bit excessive that the development team, which was a bunch of scene coders, charged £17 equivalent for this game back when it was released. But I'm fairly sure there was no PD clones that looked remotely as good as this, or sounded remotely as good as this. It is incredibly difficult, actually, but it wasn't more difficult than I insisted on playing it long enough to actually beat at least the first world, so I had something to show in this video. But I can easily imagine that the difficulty level is going to be off-putting for certain people. And of course, I mean, the gameplay of Asteroids, if you enjoy it, the game is enjoyable, and if you don't enjoy that gameplay, then all the whistles and bells are not going to do much for you. I mentioned that the developers were seeing coders, and this game is coded entirely in 68,000 assembler, and you can tell. There's not a slowdown, there's not a hiccup, there's nothing. Everything runs incredibly smooth. Doesn't matter how much is on the screen, you never face any graphical disturbances or musical disturbances or sound disturbances. Sometimes you have sounds overriding each other because, of course, 4 channels and all that kind of stuff. But from a technical point of view, this is, I wouldn't say flawless, but it is a very, 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 very competent game. Do you like Asteroids? You'll potentially like this game, and if you don't, you're likely going to find it incredibly boring. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.